Hey everyone, Ryan at bgsmack. I stream most days over at twitch.tv/bgsmack, and I wanted to put together a quick, keyword quick, little video on how to get OBS Live up and running. So you're probably going to see some cuts in this. I'm trying to move fast, and I don't want to waste your time. So the first thing you want to do is to go over to streamelements.com and download OBS Live, right? So you're going to get that installed, and once you pop it open, you should have something similar to what I got going on here. Obviously, your webcam will not be pulled in, and you'll have all of these boxes laid out somewhere around the screen, right? You can kind of change the layout a little bit. So sources, as I said, you can move these boxes around. So sources will be somewhere down here, and let me just fix that. Okay, so sources is going to be somewhere down here, and first we're going to pull in your video capture device, which is your webcam. So you're going to go to this plus sign at the bottom, hit that plus sign, click video capture device, name it whatever you want, my webcam, and you're going to get a box like this, and it's going to try to default to whatever your webcam is. Obviously, I'm already pulling mine in so you can see me, but this was what mine would be, the C922 Pro Stream, whatever, webcam, Logitech. You may have something else here. You probably will have something else here, but no, this is where you pull it in. Now, if you want to change the settings on that webcam, let me actually pull mine up so you can see what it looks like. And I leave most of this default just off the bat, but if you really wanted to change the coloring and everything like that, you could come in here, click configure video, and I'm assuming most webcams will give you something like this, but you can, mess with the gain and play around with those to try to get your picture looking as, best as you possibly can. Pro tip is the lower the gain you use, the better, especially in a dark room. It's going to try to compensate and really up that gain. It's going to give you a really grainy image if you do that. But there's other settings in here. A lot of the times I pop this open and they reset to the webcam's defaults, and I have to go through and change them. So be aware that that may happen to you. I don't know how to make them stick. So click OK. Okay, we have our webcam here. We can drag the corners just like if you were in Photoshop or something and make them bigger or smaller. If you come down here to the device, and let me delete the one I added. If you want to delete something, just click on it, hit the delete button, it's gone. So if you right click on the one that you added, whatever source this is, you can go up to transform, flip horizontal, and now I'm looking towards the screen, which is just my preference. All right, so we have our cam in. Maybe you want to pull in a webcam frame to go around it, make it look a little bit nicer. How do we do that? Well, same thing. A lot of this stuff is actually very similar method. You're going to come down to that plus sign, hit it, go up to image, or it may also be a media source depending on what you're pulling in. I think media source is more for like video, and image is for image, right? So go to image, and we're gonna type in webcam frame, and we can look into how to make just a really basic frame in another video, but I have a few here, and we'll pull in the white blue gradient frame, and it's just something I made in Affinity Designer. It's super fast, really basic, but I found for like what I like to do, the more basic the better. Just keeping it simple. So this frame, it kind of fits. Let's see. So you can kind of stretch it, put it how you want it, but maybe I'm like, oh, I don't really like how I'm cropped in the frame, right? Like I got more background on this side and whatever. So if you click on your video capture device, you can stretch this a little bit and kind of like just really zero in on the part of you that you want to be seen on stream. Pop it up. So then you can click on filters right here, or you can right click on this and also go to filters, and it'll pop this up, and you have audio video filters, and then you have effect filters. Click the plus sign down here and click crop pad. We'll add in that crop pad, and we will start to take off some of these sides. So we'll do that there. We'll do the left side, and it will do this funky thing where it's taking from the right side of the screen, but it adjusts it from the left side. I don't really know why that is or how to fix that. But anyway, so we're doing this, trying to keep this quick. Move it back to where we want it. Okay, that's looking pretty good. So let's take that bottom off, 200, too much. And you're just adjusting these figures. You have to kind of play around with them to get what you want. You can either type in a figure here, or you can use the arrow keys to go up and down. And for fine tuning it, trying to get it exact, just use the arrow keys. That's looking a lot better already. We pulled in the webcam, pulled in web frame. How about we pull in a game? Again, hit that plus sign. And for most games, you can just do game capture, right? Some games I do have to do window capture here at the bottom. I don't know the reasoning. It's just trying to figure out what works best for the program you're playing. So we're going to do game capture. We'll just call it ONI for oxygen not included. And I always do capture specific window. I don't want the program trying to guess what I'm trying to do. I want to tell it what I want to do. So mode capture specific window. The window is going to be oxygen not included. And you're going to see it pop up there. And note that I'm running the game at 1920 by 1080. That's the resolution. My canvas resolution for this for OBS Live right now is 1920 by 1080. So it's going to pull in perfectly. All right, so obviously this is covering everything up. So go down to sources and click and hold on ONI or whatever game capture you're doing and just drag it to the bottom. Boom. Now it's behind the scenes. We look good. We have the game in. We're a little bit big. So if you want to change the size of your webcam and your web frame, click on one and then click on the other and then right click and go to group selected items. Okay, so we have both of those in a group. We should be able just to change the size of them together now. See? Groups are very, very useful when you're layering stuff, trying to put it together, and that way you can move them around at the same time too. All right, so we have our game pulled in, we have our webcam pulled in, we have our frame. Let's work on the audio. You're still going to go down to this plus sign, hit that. And first we'll do our audio input capture, which is essentially our microphone. So audio input capture, and we're going to say my mic. And it will default to something, whatever your system settings are. I like to pick what my microphone is. And mine is this microphone, Scarlett Solo. Click on that. Then click OK when you've selected it. And you see it being pulled in right here. I'll turn it down just a little bit. But you see the levels moving right in the audio mixer section. You see the levels moving now as I talk. Or if I get quiet, they stop moving. Okay, so we have that. But if you look closely, it's only pulling in on one channel. It's pulling in stereo. When we actually, for most of what I do, I want it pulling in on mono. So you're going to click this gear right here and go to advanced audio properties, and you see all of your audio things going on here. My mic, mono. Just ignore everything else for now. And now you see that it's pulling in on both bars right here. Everything's good. So now we want to do an audio output capture, and that's going to get everything that's on your desktop, which means the game that you're playing, any music that you may have playing in the background. It's not your mic. Your mic is a separate audio channel, as obviously we've seen. We pulled that in already, but just know that they are separate. So hit that plus sign, go to audio output capture, click OK. Device, let's specify what device it is. Again, you'll probably have something different. Feel free to play around and select and see which one hits. You see we're already hitting under default, but let's see if I changed it to speakers, it stops hitting, right? The levels aren't moving anymore. So for mine, it's actually the Scarlett Solo once again, and it's picking up the audio that we're playing, or that is playing through oxygen not included. And just like if I pop the game open real quick and go to options, audio, and turn it all the way down, it's not picking up anything anymore. So also, if you wanted to pop open like a media player in the background and have music playing, it's also going to show up there. So that's all of your audio. You're at a point where you could probably start streaming, right? This looks respectable. This looks close to what I do every day. I've learned keeping it simple is something that I prefer. You may want to have a lot of like animated overlays and crazy stuff going on. But I keep my setup pretty close to this so people can focus on the game. And, you know, there's not too many distractions. All right, so how do we stream? That's probably going to be the next step. So you would go to settings, and you can also find these things up here in different drop-down menus. But we can go to settings, and you would just go to, it's going to give you this box. You're going to go to stream. And this is the service where you're going to stream through. This is how you connect to their servers. And we also have to make the assumption that you already have an account with like Facebook Live or YouTube or Twitch, and you want to stream there. For Twitch, just select the service, let them determine what the server is, and log into your Twitch account through OBS Live. I'm sure there will be a button here. I see that's disconnect account is right here, but just do that. Click that button, connect to your Twitch, and you don't have to worry about anything else. For Facebook Live, I don't really stream there too much anymore, but in my experience, let's get out of there. I don't want it to break anything. I don't like the restrictions Facebook Live has in place, so I usually do custom for them, and then you'll go into your Facebook creator dashboard, I think it's called, and there's a section where you can get the server name. It looks like a URL, and then your stream key right there for Facebook, and you can put that information in. You would click apply, you'd be good to go, and after that you just hit start streaming. If everything looks good on here, you're mostly good to go. Some things you want to keep in mind, because there is another side of this. It looks good on our end, but when you hit that start streaming button, it may not look good when it hits the stream. And that's going to have a lot to do with what your internet upload rate is and your computer processing power, really. And you can see this stats section I like to have open all the time, and it'll just kind of give you a little bit of warning when you start dropping frames or things aren't going well. So I like to keep it open just so I can keep an eye on things. But if we go over to settings and we go back to stream just for a second, at the bottom, it kind of gives you some details about what Twitch accepts as far as upload rates. So your maximum video bit rate being sent to Twitch, being uploaded to Twitch, has to be 6,000 or less, right? Kilobits per second. And then maximum audio rate is 320. You want to keep that in mind, because if we go over to output, you can see here for the streaming tab, you can see that I'm pushing out at a 5800 kbps, and the rate control is CBR, which I think averages it. I think it'll try to keep it at 5800, but it may be a little bit above or it may be a little bit low. So that's a lot to do with what your upload rate for your internet is, right? How many megabits per second that your internet allows you to upload. Mine is kind of low. It's 10, right? Hopefully that'll change soon, as things progress, but yours may be even lower. I think the standard package you get from someone like Xfinity is 5. And typically you want this bitrate number to be around half, maybe a little bit more, but around half, because you still need allowed upload bandwidth for whatever multiplayer game that you may be playing online, right? If you're not, then it's a little bit less of a concern. You can probably bump it higher, but just know for your other activities that you're doing on your computer while you're streaming, you need to leave some room, some bandwidth room for those. So I'm pushing out average around 5,800, and I cap out essentially at 10,000, right? So I have, is it 3,200? I'm sorry, 4,200 kbps to play around with as far as the other stuff I do. And I do play a lot of online games when I stream, so that's something to kind of pay attention to. Now, if you go to audio, I'm set for 320 for my bit rate. That's the highest you can go. That's the highest that Twitch accepts. And that's the majority of what that section is. If you go down to the video section, we have our base canvas resolution, and that is our workspace back here, right? That's the area that we're working on. And you know that I pulled in oxygen not included at 1080p. That's what it's running at, 1080p, so that when we pull it in, it matches our canvas exactly. If your computer is not as powerful, you may want to bump this down to 720p. It's going to require less resources from your computer to run. Likewise, output scaled resolution, that's what's actually going out to Twitch or whatever service you're working with. I have it set to 1080p because my bandwidth allows it. I have enough upload rate to do that, or upload bit rate, whatever, to do that. You may not. You may need to bump this down to 720p. So if you were to do that, you'd be working in your workspace at 1080p, so it may be easier for you. Everything might line up a little bit depending, how you're playing your games. But then the computer is going to go ahead and bump that down to 720p before it sends it out to Twitch, so that you don't need as much, it doesn't utilize as much of your upload rate. So maybe you do only your upload bandwidth, whatever, is at 5 megabits per second. You might need to bump down to 720p so that it requires less of that to hit Twitch, like a lower bit rate. Now, how does the computer scale it down? That's Downscale Filter. If you have a more powerful computer, even though you have, a smaller upload rate for your internet, you can probably get away with this last one, and it's going to sample it at 36 samples. That's the most powerful. If your internet's kind of on the shady side and your computer's also kind of on the shady side, you're probably going to want to go up to bilinear or one of the middle ones and trying to keep it just a little bit lower because it's going to require less processing power to do so. Let's make sure we change this back to 1080p. So everything's set for here, right? We got our resolution set. We have our downscale set. If it ends up downscaling it, which we're not doing in this situation, I'm going to make the wild assumption that it doesn't get utilized at all if we're not downscaling the video at all. So the last value here is frames per second, and I have it set to 60, which again requires a little bit more data, more upload rate, right, to go out there. You can bump it down to 30, and it's probably still going to look good, especially in the beginning. Who cares, right, man? You got a lot of stuff that you have to fine tune. So 60 is what you want to be at. I think that's the max that places like Twitch and whatnot accept. But if you have to start out at 30 or 48 and kind of fine tune things, that's perfectly okay. So we'll just leave everything like that. I think that's as much as we want to cover for this video, trying to keep it short and sweet. Those are the important settings that I'm aware of. I think I've reached a point where it looks pretty good when it goes out to the stream. So outside of that, I'll work on something that's maybe a little bit more detailed in the future for some of these other things that we're doing here. And I hope you have a good day. Hope to see you over at twitch.tv/bgsmack. That's all I got. Take care.